Let me tell you about my car buying experience and some tips for those who are looking to purchase a car, and some information to let you know, even if you have a high credit score, you may run into obstacles purchasing a car. My credit score, when I started car shopping 2 weeks ago, was 750. I know that if I go to a car dealership and just fill out an application, they're going to submit my application to every lender on earth for several reasons. They want to guarantee an approval so they can close the deal, and there are banks that provide an incentive if the car dealer finances using their funds. The incentive is if a particular bank may give you a 5% interest rate, but you'll never see that because the finance manager at the car dealership has the ability to add up to 200 basis points, which is 2%. So you go from a 5% loan to a 7% loan. And when that occurs, the dealership gets a kickback. So as soon as you sign that piece of paper, the lender will send a few $1,000s, depending on the price of the car, directly to the dealer for marking up your rate. Because of course, the financial institution makes more money when you have a higher interest rate. Now, even though I have a 750 credit score, there was something that would make it difficult for me to get a loan. What is that item? I don't have a car loan being reported on my credit report. So even though I have a 750 credit score and I have 2 high limit credit cards, many times I will get denied for a car loan because I don't have a previous car loan or a current car loan. And right now, auto lenders are nervous due to the high default rate. So they want to see previous payment history and how you handle not your credit cards, but how do you handle car loans, mortgages, or installment loans. So knowing that I don't have a car loan or I didn't have a car loan on my credit report, I knew when I went into the dealer, I had to be very careful on which dealer I selected and what I told the salesman and the dealer if I filled out an application at the dealer. Remember, know your credit score first. Secondly, when you go to a car dealer, do not fill out a credit application without specifically telling your salesman, the finance manager, and the sales manager how you want your deal structured. Meaning, you should tell them up front what your credit score is. You should tell them up front what financial situation you want when you are purchasing your car. What does that mean, financial situation? Well, for me, I didn't want to place any money down. And I did not want a high interest car loan. And I wanted a lender who pulled from Experian. My credit score with Experian is my highest credit score. It was a 750. My credit score with Equifax was a 700. And my credit score at the time with TransUnion was a 720. 750 puts you at tier 1, meaning that is your best credit score going in for a car loan. It allows you to get the lowest interest rate and allows you to get any rebates or special rates being offered for financing from either the credit union, bank, or the auto lender. Now, when I submitted my application, I made sure to tell them what bank to submit my application to, and I told them do not submit it to any other institution. When you tell them that, your car salesperson is going to come back and say, hey, what if we can get you a better rate somewhere else? What if we can get you this at another institution? What they're telling you is if you let them search for a better rate, your credit application is going everywhere. Because a car salesperson is not a finance manager nor underwriter. They're doing that so the finance manager has more leeway to get the deal done. And the finance manager may have a lender that is providing a kickback directly to the dealer, so the salesman makes more money, the dealership makes more money, and the finance manager gets a bigger bonus. And many times, those lenders are subprime lenders. So when I went in, I already knew what bank I wanted to go to, which was Ally Bank. And I told them up front, do not submit my application anywhere else. I emailed the sales manager, I copied the finance manager and the salesperson. Why did I do that? Just in case they did submit it elsewhere, I could then get those hard inquiries removed under 15 USC 1681I because it was not permissible purpose, meaning I didn't authorize, I didn't tell them to submit it to who knows, Global Lending, Westlake, American Credit Acceptance. I made sure not to have my application submitted. So the bank I selected was Ally Financial. The reason I selected Ally Financial is because they have a large dealership connection. The majority of auto dealers in America have signed up with Ally Bank because Ally Bank provides a lot of auto loans for those people who either have an account with Ally Bank and or have great credit or beginning credit. And the reason you select Ally Bank is because they avoid charging you subprime rates, so like 18% and up. And I knew I didn't have an auto loan reflecting on my credit app, my credit report. So I went to the first dealer. The dealer submitted it to Ally Bank. Ally Bank said no. Even though I have an account with Ally Bank, even though I have a 750 credit score on Experian, they said no. And Ally said no because I didn't have any auto payment history. So the dealer came back and said, Mr. Cannon, you know what we can do? I know a bank that will provide you a loan at a great rate. Just let me send it to them and I can guarantee you they can, get this deal done. I said, no. I said, give me an opportunity to think about it. When I said that and left the dealership, I knew I wouldn't be financing with that dealership. And there was nothing wrong with the dealership. The reason I did that is because if I had given him permission and he shot it everywhere, then I have a lot of inquiries. And typically, if you're turned down by one bank and you've done your due diligence like I did, I researched it and I gave myself a high chance of being approved with Ally. And once I wasn't approved, I said, well, I'm probably not going to be approved with several lenders. And I might end up being approved with a subprime lender like Santander, American Credit Acceptance, or Credit Acceptance, or Westlake, or Global Lending. So I said, let's draw it again. Well, this time I selected CarMax. And CarMax had guaranteed that they could provide me a car and they were only going to do it with one lender and they could meet my parameters of no money down. So this is where my horror story begins. I selected a vehicle with CarMax. It was zero money down, and the vehicle had to be transferred to my location, to the city and where I'm staying. So I had to wait 2 weeks. The vehicle was transferred. And during the time the vehicle was being transferred, I got a call from the customer service department at CarMax, and they talked to me about the vehicle. So as I'm talking to them about the vehicle, I looked and the vehicle had 5 owners. I said, wow, 5 owners. Let me look at the time frame. So we go over the CarMax website, and then we go over the Carfax. And when I look at the Carfax, the last 3 owners of that particular vehicle, which was a 2017 Kia Credenza, the last 3 owners were within the last 12 months. So what does that mean? That means that car had been repossessed 3 times. So I spoke to the customer service rep and I said, hey, how long did owner number 3 have it? She said 2 months. How long did owner number 4 have it? She said about 3 months. And how long did owner number 5 have it? And she said 2 months. I said, wow. I said, was this car repossessed? And they'll never tell you if it's repossessed, but she said it's probably likely. Another thing I noticed, well, CarMax, if it had 5 owners and it was repossessed in 2 months, 4 months, and another 2 months, that is an indication that that car has a GPS unit located on the car, because they were able to find the car and pick the car up. Now, if it was just 2 months on one owner, that could be a voluntary return. But you got 3 owners who had the car less than 5 months. And you had 2 owners who had the car less than 3 months. So that means first payment default, CarMax sent them a letter and started the repossession process. So 2 people got that car repossessed and probably have a good lawsuit against CarMax. Then I looked at the price of the car. Well, I looked at the price of the car, and as I told you, I said I wanted 0 down. I found out that that car was overpriced by $6,500, because when I did the book value of the car was right at $6,000. They were selling the car for $12,000, $11,500. And when I looked at it, I said, wow, because I wanted to purchase a car, keep it for 6 months to build my credit. And if I purchased a car that I was just using to build my credit, I was going to trade it in to get the car that I wanted. Well, I was like, man, I can't even trade that car in because I would have negative equity. Then I looked at what was going to be the interest rate they were charging me. And the interest rate was 18%. 18%. And I said, man, that's a lot to eat. I got a 750 credit score. They pulled my Experian. Why are they charging me 18%? So I spoke to the customer service rep. She said, well, you don't have any auto payment history. And if you make a few months payment, you can refinance it with your credit union. I said, okay. I spoke to my credit union. My credit union said, the only way you can refinance that car in 6 months is if you gave us $7,000, and even then, it would be a personal loan. It would not be an auto loan because the car had too many miles and too many owners. I said, oh man. Now, if you think that's bad, I'm still trying to talk myself into it. The car arrives, CarMax calls me and says, hey, your car is here. You can come pick it up. The day I was to pick up the car, because it had been transferred from the West Coast to the East Coast, and I confirmed that the car was there, I get a call back 30 minutes later and said, hey, we sold your car. Would you like another look at another vehicle. So let me get this straight. I was willing to buy a car that had been repossessed 3 times in the past 12 months. I waited 2 weeks. You sold a car, and the only way for me to get another car, because they said, well, we'll give you another car, we'll knock some money off and let you finance this car, but we got to run your credit again. At the beginning of this video, what did I say? I only wanted my credit run once. I don't want it shotgun. And they said, well, we can get you a lower interest rate, but we're going to have to do this. So what does that? They were telling me they were going to have to shotgun my credit after selling the car that I had waited for. So after going back and forth with CarMax, a place I tell you, do not buy a car from CarMax. They're placing GPS devices on so they can locate them. Their cars are overpriced and their customer service is terrible. So I leave CarMax. Now here's the good part of the story. I have 2 inquiries, both on Experian. I know at the end of the month, car dealers are trying to make their numbers. So I go to a car dealership. I go to a Nissan dealership, a local dealership. Nissan Finance, which is the manufacturer's bank that does loans for their new cars, pulls Experian. I go to the dealership, tell them I don't want to put any money down. I want a 2026 because I know it's coming with rebates, and I know you have like a first-time auto buyers program. I end up getting a 2026 fully loaded. The car note that they were trying to charge me or have me pay at CarMax was right at $400. Remember, it was 18% and it was an $11,000 car. I ended up getting a $25,000 car at 2% interest rate, and my note is right around $430. Let me rephrase that. A brand new car, new Altima, no miles or 9 miles on it, 2% interest rate versus a used Kia Cadenza at 18% interest rate, and been repossessed 3 times in the last 9 to 12 months with a GPS device on it, with some dents and some dings on it, terrible customer service, or I can get a brand new Nissan Altima, fully loaded, sunroof, everything else, $420 some, so about $36 more per month. Better car, full coverage. I didn't buy any extended warranty or anything, but I have a 3-year, 36,000 mile coverage. Better gas mileage, better vehicle, and better customer service experience. So let me tell you, here are the takeaways. If you're looking for a car, if you have bad credit or you have great credit like mine, but with no auto history, here is what you need to do. The best time to buy a car, if you have challenging credit or good credit with no auto history, is the last 2 days of the month, of any month. Make sure you go and talk directly to the car salesman and the finance manager and tell them you want to use the financing from the manufacturer. They have first-time car buyers. They actually have programs for, if you had a 500 credit score, you could have had repossessions and collections. Ford, a few months ago, was providing brand new Ford F-150s with a 500 credit score at 5% interest rate. Nissan is providing brand new cars on the 2025, 2026. Even if you have challenging credit or credit like I just told you, and you don't have to put any money down, you're not paying a high interest rate, or you're not paying a subprime interest rate, depending on your credit, is a much better buying experience, and you're getting a much better car as opposed to going to a place like CarMax, Carvana, or Drive Time. CarMax, Carvana, and Drive Time, they all use GPS. They also have some of the highest interest rates going. And if you Google, none of those three companies have great customer service experience. CarMax has some of the worst customer service I have ever experienced in my life. So when I tell you, you can get financed, make sure you know who has your best credit score. Whoever has your best credit score, make sure you research banks that pull directly from that credit bureau. Make sure you speak directly to the car salesman, the sales manager, and the finance manager. Email them to make sure you have proof that you didn't give authorization just in case they shotgun your credit so you can get those hard inquiries removed. And understand the last 2 days of any month, and especially in December, but the last 2 days of the month are the best times to buy if you have challenging credit, or if you have credit like mine where it's great credit but no auto history. Make sure you leave a comment. If you have a question, I'm going to answer it. And if you need a phone consultation, just email me. Thank you.